So Nashville Barrel Company, excited to start tasting through this one. This is actually really new for me over, I'd probably say like the last year. Most of the tastings we do, I've usually been fairly intimate with the liquid for a few years, and I kind of know what they're about and what they do and how they do it before we do a tasting. And I've really been impressed with what Nashville Barrel Company's been able to do. So we actually moved this one up probably a little sooner than we normally would. And so I'm excited. We've got James Davenport and Mike Hinds here from NBC. Do you guys like to be called NBC or just Nashville Barrel Company? Or does it matter?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Gotcha. So I'll put the lineup in the chat shortly. The first one's going to be this all-time wine and spirits. We'll start there and then work our way through. You guys are more than welcome to pour that one now. James, Mike, feel free to introduce yourselves and let us know a little bit about Nashville Barrel Company.
It looks like Mike's muted. Yeah, I'm James. Mike's on here as well. He's still figuring out how to use technology.
That's okay.
You there, Mike?
Hey guys.
Hey, Mike.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, so James and I met. The story's been kind of out there. James and I met. Just bottle shares and drinking whiskey, almost like you guys do, and just getting together and sharing. And we had a good passion for raising money and charity, and it's kind of how we connected. So we really started NBC off the love of whiskey and using it to do good.
Love that. Yeah, you guys are located, you are in Nashville. You guys have the distillery and also one or two tasting rooms throughout the city as well.
We just opened up our extended tasting room, and actually this week makes 1 year that it's been open, and it's in the middle of downtown. So our main facility is only 2 miles away from the action of downtown Nashville, but our tasting room is really there. So if you guys make it to Nashville and for the a show at the Ryman or a concert at Bridgestone or a Titans game, or just want to come check out Broadway, we have a tasting room with a lot of whiskey there.
Yeah, and Andy, who's on this call, she was actually just there a few weeks ago. So she brought back a honey rye.
Oh, is it one that she actually bottled herself while she was at the tasting room?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Did she go to the main facility or the downtown one?
Downtown.
Did she? Hopefully she reported back with a lot of good things.
Yes, definitely. Andy's in the same room as me, but so that's why she hasn't unmuted. But
well, what brought her to Nashville?
Here, what you can unmute all.
A friend of both his and mine just decided random girls trip to go downtown. Definitely a young man's sport. There was a lot of bachelorette parties there, and it was a good time though. It was a lot of fun, and my goal was to make it to your tasting room, and we had a great time. It was awesome. It was awesome being able to just learn everything about your whiskey and bottle my own bottle, which I've kind of made a pretty good dent in since I came home. But it was fun.
Well, thank you for visiting us. It's I said, we put that downtown spot in really to kind of share our love for whiskey. So I'm glad you were able to visit it.
Fernando, what was the barrel number on the first one you poured? Sorry, I don't have the list in front of me. I think you're muted.
I think it's 2737.
I am
2737.
You are correct. 2737 from All Time Wine and Spirits. It's coming in at 58%. So this is pretty high octane tasting, we'll say. for well, I mean, we do some pretty high ABV stuff, but everything here is a minimum of 58%. So don't feel like you have to drink the entire sample tonight. You know, half samples or 3/4 samples work too, or share with someone, but or don't. Up to you guys. Or use water. There's also that.
Say water.
Yeah, I know, Benno. I'm not. I'm just saying you could. It's an option. So.
What's this thing you speak of?
Just to keep you hydrated, really.
No. Remember, fish, fucking shit, and water.
You know, what's funny is that, you know, we always forget, you know, with barrel proof whiskey that a majority of people out there, you know, drink Basil Hayden, or they'll drink, you know, Blanton's or something that's, you know, 80-ish proof.
Yeah.
And you know, when you know, well, we like so obviously me and my friends don't either, but when we have the tasting room downtown, you would not believe how many people will walk in that have never drank whiskey. I mean, literally, they're like, we want to drink whiskey because we're in Tennessee. And we just look at them like, oh boy, because most of our offerings are barrel proof.
Yeah.
And, you know, we definitely give them a crash course.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when you for those of us that are used to drinking these higher ABV, you know, and all of a sudden somebody hands you, like you say, a Basil Hayden or something like that, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Is that tea? Yeah. You know, it's funny. We all start somewhere, and you know, I can't tell you how many bottles of Basil Hayden I've drank in my past life.
No, it's not bad stuff. That's not what I'm suggesting.
Yes.
It's what
Yeah. Once your palate gets used to barrel proof, it's hard to go backwards for sure.
It is. So James, what do you recall about that barrel they're drinking?
Yeah, 27. So that's going to be Kentucky Distillate from Jim Beam. I believe that was bottled 9 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fernando.
Yes,
correct. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Kentucky Distillate, independent stave cooperage. I was gonna say that's everything about the barrel. Are we saying mash bill, Mike?
You know, it definitely has that classic legacy beam that everyone, you know, probably knows the mash bill on that. I think we've been told a few times we have to quit saying it out loud.
That's okay.
So all I can say is book it.
There you go. Understood. Yeah, and so tonight, actually, so I haven't had any of the expressions we're going to drink tonight. So it's pretty, except with the exception of the Insane Corn Posse bottling. So Mike Alcott, who runs or is one of the people who leads that group, he's a good buddy of mine, and we got one of his bottles. That's phenomenal. That's the third pour of tonight. And then I'm really excited for pour 2 as well, because allegedly you picked that one. So
which one's pour 2?
It's the Hinds and Davenport too. So
oh man, yeah.
And not to skip over this one, because I enjoy it. I'm a big Beam fan, so I love the books for sure, but their annual offerings I'm always a big fan of.
You know, one thing that we always try to do, and as you can tell, we keep doing, is, you know, most of the whiskey that we have in the marketplace, and I think every one that you're tasting tonight is probably 8 and 9 years old, right? I mean, I think was it the original Posse, or is it the number 2?
The first one.
Gotcha. So remember that was some of that same run though. Wasn't a Magic 5? Was that a 5-year?
No, 7-year. Everything is 7 to 8 years, 7 to 9 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the order, Nando?
Here, let me resend you. I'll resend you the lineup.
Zoom doesn't save it if you don't join it when you send the message.
Yeah, no worries. I'll send it to you right now. All right, we're starting with the all-time wine and spirits. It should also say on the bottle 1, which correlates with when we're drinking it. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
So 1 through 6 is on there.
So that's the non-bonus. Got it.
Yeah, the AOs will it should say AO for the add-ons.
Yep.
Let me ask, so obviously you guys are an independent bottler, right? Or as far as I know, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but how are you guys finding being an independent bottler in this market where there's just been so many people over the last, 3, 4, 5 years that have really tried to get into it and are purchasing a lot of barrels and probably overspending to some degree on some of those barrels?
Yeah, there's quite a few companies that have started up in the past few years. Everybody's got their own spin on things. Our main thing is just putting out good product.
Yeah.
We don't rush stuff out. We don't do a ton of finishes or anything like that. Even though, I mean, we do a few here or there, but that's far few in between compared. I mean, we're purists. We like whiskey for whiskey.
I think, to add to that as well, we came from kind of the other side of the fence, right? We came from the bourbon community. We came from the love and sharing it. So, our range of what we drink is was pretty vast, right? So everything from your big legacy distillers to craft distillers, we would definitely try it. And, I would say that, you see a lot of people have a brand that maybe or a hedge fund or a bank, they maybe newish to bourbon, where James and I really kind of spent a decade in the community building relationships and tasting different things. I guess one point is most of the whiskey you're drinking tonight is 7 to 9 years old. A lot of people launch with a 4-year-old Barstown bourbon or MGP and water it down to 90 proof and call it a day. So I think it's a testament to, we make sure that it's good before we bottle it.
Yeah. And that's awesome. We're all fans here. I mean, never in a million years would I have imagined I would be running a whiskey club. And then Mel and I and Sandra and Bino, we all were part of a Scotch club. There was chapters in LA, chapter here in Orange County. That's kind of how we all met initially. And then, when I started this, it was really more as a finance networking group, and then kind of grew into what we are today. We're national. We have a pretty big presence throughout the country, which is interesting. But so we do a lot of tastings. Would love to someday. Would maybe love to get into that side of the house, but for now, it's just a passion project for me, and I still just love it, and I don't want to make it a job. So
tell me, what's your favorite Scotch?
So I fell in love with whiskey through Bruichladdich, probably about 12, 13 years ago now.
Just admit you're a dirty whore and tell me you like Lechig.
I do like Lechig. It's the top 3 for me. Bruichladdich, Springbank, Lechig. Big Edredauer fan too, but those are kind of the Scotch. Scotch is kind of how I got into whiskey, and then when we started the club, I really started getting into bourbons and ryes. And now I have a bunch of different rabbit holes to go down within the whiskey community. So
I feel like that, the bourbon community does that as well, right? I mean, the people that really have only been on bourbon, now they're looking at agaves and rums. And, I think after you kind of, really spread your wings in what your comfort zone is, you start looking for, something else to challenge your palate.
Yeah. And this is our second tasting of this month. And every September, we also do an agave tasting. So we did a big agave tasting a few weeks ago. So I'm big into agave too. Rum I enjoy, but I don't reach for it too often. And
Speaking of, do we have a rum pick here, right? Or no?
No, we do not.
We don't? Oh. Yeah, that's too bad.
You had a rum pick. That was delicious. Yeah. You guys did Bino had a bottle of one of your rum picks. He can probably tell you from where, but it was really good.
It was I was in Cincinnati 4 times last year for work, and if Blaze Cigar Lounge across the river in Kentucky, and Dallas, the owner, he's kind of crazy. And I had his Nashville, his NBC rum barrel, and I was honestly one of the better, if not best, rums I've had, just period.
And that was like 130 proof, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it's really good. He still owes me, like he has 2 cases still sitting there waiting to get shipped. So
So, that same rum, that same, I think that was probably, was it 7 years old on that pick?
7 or 8, yep.
Yeah, that stuff is what, 9 or 10 now, James?
Yeah, right at 10.
Yeah, and we just released, I think our 19-year Foursquare.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I think, James, what's the next Foursquare? What's the age on it that we're going to be bottling this year?
I mean, I don't. It depends on when we bottle it. But it's going to be 21 or 22.
Investing.
Nando, thanks for the Brulati shout out on High Time.
Oh, you're welcome. Did you get in?
I got in, and 2 of our friend Wes got in, and so did another friend of mine.
Good.
So,
Glad to hear it. We'll see.
They
you
are
then.
pouring Octomore at this thing, right?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Look, we can talk about that in overtime. Let's talk about
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to.
So we're just trying the first one for now?
Yeah. So we just started for the first one. We'll move on to the second one here real quick. Do you guys have a favorite distillery that you guys like drinking, or are you kind of on the bandwagon of everyone at this time?
It just depends on the mood and what I'm doing. I mean, I get asked that daily, and I tell everybody, I can go anywhere in the country, get a bottle off the shelf. I'm gonna get like Evan Williams White Label or something like that because it's just
Bottle to bottle.
it is good for what it is. It's everywhere. You can get a half gallon for like $30.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an easy go-to, and you can find it. That's like my go-to.
That's fine. Agreed. I think that's one of the best value bourbons you can find anywhere. That and Wild Turkey 101, both. I'm a huge fan of. So
101, our blind fave.
Yeah, if you look at behind me, you can see everything. I'm constantly reaching for different things, but I think if I was on an island forever and I can only choose one, it'd probably be some of the old TZ Gold Foil, some old turkey. That'd probably be the like the it's hard to really replicate that, some of that old stuff.
yeah, those are real hard to find and they're expensive. So
Yeah. Like everything nowadays, right? I remember years ago, it's it was a dime a dozen.
That's true. That's true. How we enjoying the bean? We like this. Again, this is pretty high to start with. I probably should have warned you guys and maybe had you start with some before you jumped on the tasting, but no.
Which one is this one, Rob?
So first, we just started with the first one, Jason. All-time wine and spirits. It'll say #1 on the bottle, top right. So unless you don't have it. Well, everyone's pretty quiet on the first one. So let's move on to #2, which is going to be the Hinds Davenport 2. My understanding was Mike, you and James here picked this one.
Yeah, that's so that's actually the only barrel of that run that's been bottled. So that's low rye MGP out of a Kelvin barrel. That's actually a few months older than the 3000 series. Those actually, their birthday's in February, as to where the 3000s are in May. But yeah, there's only 20 barrels in that run total that we have. So there's 19 of those left. But that was the first and only one that's been bottled so far.
What's the difference in the mash bill between the first and the second one?
Well, the first one was Beam. This is low rye MGP. So 75 corn, 21 rye, 4 malted barley. Kelvin Cooperage out of Louisville.
This one's way spicier. Way spicier. Interesting. It's pretty good.
This is beautiful. This has like a big can, like like a hard candy note to it, like a caramel toffee candy. I really like this one.
On the nose or the palate?
On the palate. And also, well, she's gone. She went upstairs, but big thanks to Andy for picking this up at the distillery or the tasting room a few weeks ago. So this was a late add to the tasting.
I mean, do you get that? There's just this huge spice note on this. That's kind of crazy. What's that?
Yeah, MGP's low rye mash bill is still a high rye bourbon relative to how much rye people only put in. So, it's funny is that they call it 36% the high rye, but technically the 21% is high rye too.
Yeah, the spice picks up on the back palate for sure.
Oh yeah,
I get a very candied front palate, and then once it sits and then you swallow, then you get like a lot of spice.
I like this one better than the first. It's a lot more complex. The first one was nice, but I didn't. And what's interesting too is this one's actually a higher ABV, and to me it drinks lower. And I think it's that caramel. I think the caramel rounds it out. So yeah, I'm enjoying this one a lot.
Yeah, it's really nice. I like this. Agreed. Ooh. That one's gonna get me in trouble. And to be honest, the third one will as well. That one I have tried.
you guys said the first one was Beam, as in Jim Beam.
Correct.
Or Centauri.
What's the mash bill on that?
Well, I'll DM you on the side. That way they don't have to say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, Stephen doesn't know what bottles I got, so he may not find out number 2 existed.
Yeah, just wait. You might be saying the same about the next one too.
Okay. Are we moving on, or are we still on 2?
No. I just thought 3 is the only one I've had out of this whole lineup. So this year I've really tried to not taste things before we do them in a tasting, and that requires a lot of self-control. I don't normally, but the ICP one I had to try the other day, and it is delicious. That one I know is for sure. And this is
one thing about number 2 and number 3 is that that specific barrel and all that they don't use anymore at MGP. So it makes them kind of special and unique. This was the last year they used those, so these flavor profiles will never be done again from the Seagram's plant.
Would it make some sense to pour these side by side, or are they?
They're pretty similar.
I do like how much depth there is to that, because it does change over the palate. I like it's a little bit of a roller coaster on your palate. I do enjoy that.
So Fernando, what's your favorite barrel proof whiskey? Like, what's your go-to if you want something with some high octane?
I think most people on this tasting probably know, but Stag. So I'm a big Stag fan because I just like to get slapped in the face and with my whiskey sometimes. And
You mean kicking the nuts?
whatever works for you, my friend.
So what's your favorite year Stag? Not to go sideways, but I'm kind of curious on what you think your favorite is.
Because I got into it so late, I'd have to do them side by side, or I wouldn't say late. My first Stag was probably batch 10, so I can't speak to I've had one sample of batch 8, and I liked it a lot more than most people seem to like batch 8.
2007 is the best.
Yeah.
unless you go to like, the first year or two.
Batch 12 I liked a lot, and batch, I can't remember, it was 16 or 17 I really liked. So those batches.
So are you talking more Stack Junior? You're talking Stack Junior than you are.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking
Stag?
Stag. I prefer Stag Junior to Stag.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you said Stag's annual release and Junior batches, right.
So
Okay.
Stag Junior is kind of my go-to, and the reason why I like that more than Stag is because it is a little less elegant and just more to the point of what it's supposed to do, and it just slaps you a little more. And the Stag is still a great whiskey, don't get me wrong, like would love to drink that all day if I could, but I just really enjoy Stag Junior. But I mean, that's kind of what really opened me up to barrel proof spirits, and like I really started, once I went down that rabbit hole, there was no going back, so like I normally drink above 50% these days when I'm drinking whiskey. So, and even if it's scotch or something that isn't bourbon or rye, I mean, it's usually pretty high proof stuff. So
all right, so number 3 is really good. It's kind of like a combo of almost 1 and 2 of sweetness and spice. Where's this one from?
So that's the exact same mash bill. It's from MGP. It was just barreled in May instead of February. Kelvin cooperage. So all the specs on paper are the same, with the exception it was barreled in May.
Do you guys also keep track of like where in the warehouse the rick houser came from, and would that have any effect potentially too? Yes, no?
I mean, yeah, I put stuff in certain places if I think it needs more heat or who, what, when, where. We got about 1,800 barrels on site right now. So
is that all? 1,800?
Yeah, we're full. So
what is your process when you how do you go about doing what you guys do? From picking to aging to bottling ultimately.
yeah, I mean, truly, it's all about taste. If it's in the glass, I mean that's what it's about. If it needs more time, we'll let it sit. I mean, it's predominantly just taste. Sorry, my dogs.
Yeah,
all good. Love dogs around here.
But
what is it you're going for when you say taste? Because I mean,
truly, I mean, it's all situational. If I'm looking at stuff for like distribution, I came from retail. I was in retail for retail liquor for a decade before this. So, doing batches and stuff, a little more approachable, a little sweet, still decent proof, but not going to burn you up. As to where, if I'm drinking something, for me, I tend to like a little bigger, bolder, more in your face. So, everything's truly situational on who the customer is or, what we're doing with the product.
What do you guys typically, where do you fall on the sort of like oak tannin spectrum between like low and high for that when you are picking more of the barrel proof stuff, like the stuff we're drinking?
Typically, definitely a little more oak, more tannin to them. They're bigger. They show like some of these Kelvins. They definitely show a little more in that. Those, I believe y'all have 5,500 in the lineup too, and those that's Kentucky, but it shows some tannins too. Anyway,
what's the Kelvin thing mean again?
Kelvin is the cooperage. It's a smaller cooperage out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, out of Louisville.
Yes, sir.
Oh, interesting.
Kelvin does open air aging of their barrels, right? Remember correctly?
They do. You can.
They toast inside too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can get them to your specs pretty much at this point, whatever you want to.
And that's versus anything from ISC then?
You can still get stuff from ISC as well.
But I mean, I'm saying you're getting it from them as opposed to ISC. So
well, yeah, I mean, we have a bunch of ISC as well, but we're doing some fun projects and stuff, and we're using Kelvin on those. But we've also some of our stock that we purchased is already in Kelvin barrels as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, but both of these whiskeys are phenomenal. Honestly, I could drink a lot of both of these.
And is ICP, that's the name of the group that was bottled for?
Yeah, so Insane Corn Posse is a C+S group and that operates off of Facebook. But Mike runs Mike Alcott runs All Things Whiskey podcast as well, and so I think
That's his group.
Mike's the one who picked this bourbon, right? Or were there a few people?
Yeah, there was a group that came.
Okay,
So
there's a few of them.
Yeah, that third one, guys, that one you're about to drink, it's really a classic, what we're really known for. I mean, that barrel, if you like barrel proof, if you like big bold, if you like that, it's got a bunch of complexity, but that run is what everyone really kind of looks for.
isn't that sort of lower ABV though for some compared to some of your higher, or I thought higher stuff? Like I thought it was closer to 70 on some of these.
On the Kelvin run, like that Kelvin run, the highest we've had, like low 130s.
Okay.
So 65, 66 in that range for that run of Kelvins. Now, some of the 8-year Kentuckys, those are 132, 135. But on that run, yeah, I haven't seen anything over like 132.
Yeah, because this OMWP pick is 75%.
Now that's
Canadian.
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 Yeah, that's a Canadian.
Got it.
That's a fun treat.
Yeah, well, we saved that for last for a reason. So
just don't get on an airplane with it.
agreed.
Is that technically over the actual limit?
Yeah, absolutely. It was yeah, absolutely. James and I were flying last year, and we had some samples with us because obviously you have to have something for the plane, right? And on it we had the ABV written on some of my samples, and it was what was it, James? It was like
122 or something.
And the TSA agent started trying to confiscate it, and these were samples trying to confiscate it, and it was too high to go on my just carry on. And we actually had to make a pretty big ordeal, like right, whether they're patting people down, like no, we need to speak to the main guy because this isn't hazmat. We travel every week, and this guy was adamant that it was flammable and this and that. And it was about a 20-minute process, and eventually
we just want to steal your samples from you. That's all.
We had to pull out a calculator, and there was people online trying to tell the guy he was wrong. He had to pull out a calculator. We had to give him a quick lesson on how you did proof and ABV.
What is the limit?
140.
70.
70.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what he's saying. You said it was 70, but yeah, and he says this is 120. He goes, the limit's 70. I'm like, no, that's ABV, not proof.
Oh,
so maybe he's used to British proof.
No, don't even
like,
try.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, you can't take anything over, 70. This is 120. I'm like, no, that's not how that is.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But now that we know that, we realize if we're going to bring some samples with us, we have a pen. We can write whatever we want on the label, right? So
yeah, just put the ABV instead of the proof.
Yeah, so everything now is 30 proof when we travel.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That too, right? True.
Yeah, everything's 30 proof now.
Got it.
Yeah. Both of those samples were really good, or samples, but both of the last two we drank, those are really good. I like those a lot.
Did you say this last one is kind of what you guys are known for? Is that what I heard you say?
Mm-hmm.
It's cold.
Yes.
When people come in to do barrel picks, that's the run. That's kind of if you see us on Instagram or you see a lot of posts, a lot of them are this, and it's because it's good. If you drink this in a lineup with some other stuff, 9 out of 10 times it's going to still really well.
Is it specifically because in this particular instance too, it's Kelvin? Is that kind of what you would say, or is it coincidental that it happens to be Kelvin? Like, is that the cooperage that lends to your profile?
A little bit of both. I'll let James really kind of answer, but I think that this specific run was a perfect storm. One thing I always like to say is a long time ago, I drink a lot of Smooth Ambler, Old Scouts, right? I mean, some of those old runs were just special. Some of the old Blom runs were special. Some of the old Bell Mead runs. I mean, there's certain things that you know, will always be, you know, someone's unicorn. And you know, the bourbon community has kind of said that this, you know, run of Bell Mead, you know, 3200s or was it 5600s are delicious. And that's kind of what this is. I think it's a perfect storm of barrel, the distillation, and you know, where it's stored. But this is truly special whiskey.
Nice.
What do you guys think about it? You heard me talk about it. What do you think, Andy or Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay, what sample are we on? I'm lost.
Number 3.
Oh,
In the
I'll
same
tell you.
corn posse.
I
will
love
tell you in a
this
moment.
one. I tasted it. We're still talking about number 2, right?
Oh,
Number 3.
Number 2, I tasted this in the tasting room. The high ABV, like, it's one of the whiskeys that I get in trouble with because I don't detect the high ABV. Like, I'm normally sensitive to a higher ABV whiskey. This one, it's just, I loved it. It's delicious. So I put in the chat, I'm like, one that I have to watch myself on, just small pours, but it's so good. I mean, everything, it's right up my alley where it's on the sweeter side, you know, the honey bourbons, the honey ryes, that's the stuff that I like. So this is one of my favorites.
and Andy, just because I've see you on the screen now, was I there when you were at the tasting room by chance?
You're muted, Andy. He was asking if you were there.
If I was I
What's
there
your
when you were there?
question?
Because your tattoo looks familiar, so I didn't
Okay.
know it was I at the
I'm
tasting
sorry.
room while you were there?
I'm so sorry. One more time.
Was I at the tasting room when you were there?
No, I don't remember his name, but he looks like Dr. Drew.
Sure, true.
Mark, that's great.
Him too. I was like, you look so much like Dr. Drew.
That's hilarious.
He let me try your agave spirit, which I loved. I was like, put that in your agave tasting. But yeah, it was awesome. And we came in like super late, like I think like an hour, 45 minutes before closing, and he was awesome. So I got to try so much stuff. My friend, one of Fernando's very good longtime friends, she did the I think the froze little sampling, the wine slushies, which were also really good. But yeah, it was cool. And it's funny you mentioned like a lot of people that come into your tasting room have never tried whiskey before. There was 2 sets of couples that came in that had never tried whiskey before. I was dying laughing. I'm like, oh, you better watch that ABV.
I'm telling you, you know, so the cool thing about that location is it's a couple blocks away from the Circus of Broadway.
Yes.
So we get a better clientele that's really kind of wanting to learn and kind of wanting to do it. So yeah, we try to be conscious of those people that are new in their journey and try to guide them. But
yeah,
and
they all enjoyed it too. They, you know, they loved it. I was like, this is like the perfect like novice, you know, introduction to whiskey. Non-peated. It's just I'm not a peat fan. So, but yeah, it was awesome.
By the way, was what you wrote in the chat, Andy, about number 2 or number 3?
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay, got it.
I haven't number 3 yet.
Okay.
I would say I just want to comment on number 3. If you guys can hear me, it's gotten, your guys' product has gotten a lot of attention, like in the chat rooms and the various whiskey groups, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of product out there, and I'm always kind of hesitant to jump in because I have too many favorites and then I buy too much whiskey, and so I bought a couple bottles just based off of how much attention you guys were getting. And I think it's because it's just profile, I'm guessing, because this is similar to what I've tried. But yeah, you guys, this is actually the quintessential, like, in my mind, this is a bourbon. This is like what I look for when I want to have like a solid bourbon. You know, when people ask me, like, what would you recommend? That's not like like just this, Jack Daniels or whatever, like the stuff that people like, what is good whiskey? And I'm like, this, it's funny now. I'm like, you guys should try Nashville Barrel Company, because it's the stuff they're doing is just incredible. So kudos to you guys. You guys are doing a great job. So really enjoy it.
Thank you for the support.
Appreciate that feedback. Yeah, thank you. It's we just every day we just make sure that James is good at making sure we put good stuff in a bottle.
And speaking of, I think we're going to move to number 4. I think almost all of us put 2 and 3 side by side, I hope. If not, let me know. But 2, 3 all stars, those are neck and neck for best pour of the night, I'm sure, tonight. So, and number 4 was barrel 1110. This was a charity bottling you guys did here.
Oh man, you got some hitters today.
Yeah, well, I usually try and do that when I can. I'm going to get some of your older stuff and some of your newer stuff. So we had a fun lineup here for everyone.
No, I'm gonna join you on that one because that's a good pour.
There you go. I love it.
So I'll tell you what that is. So we're running down the same vein. This is low rye MGP, Kelvin cooperage, but this run of barrels is it's a little more awarded per se, in like the big awards. That run of barrels actually won best single barrel of the year in San Francisco. The same thing that Henry McKenna won. We won that in 2022. Which is pretty fun. But that's the 21% rye mash bill Kelvin cooperage barrel.
That's a beautiful nose on this.
Yeah, this same run of barrels is actually we've got only a handful left, and the Stella Stash birthday bottle a few weeks ago, or about a month or 2 ago, was one of these, was the sister barrel to this, and it sold out. It sold out like in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I tried getting one and I was way too late.
Yeah. This is yeah. When you had that, I had to pour one up myself. It's good.
Oh, well, I'm glad we got this one in then, because at least I'm going to tell people it's the sister barrel to that barrel that I missed out on.
Yeah, it's also, if you ever seen anyone post the James, which was the barrel that won best in class, it's part of that run as well.
Apologies, I probably missed what the details on 4 was. Someone came in the door.
MGP, low rye, mash bill, same 21% rye.
Okay.
Also Kelvin barrel. Did I remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
Charity pick for, what was that for?
So we do a lot for charity. So, between special ops excursions and recently the National Diaper Collection, Folds of Honor, the Next 18, every few weeks we're teaming up with different organizations. We're doing another cancer one for a buddy that's fighting right now. So we're constantly using whiskey to donate and raise money. So this was kind of in celebration of that. And as I said, it's that was only in our gift shop. Usually, if you come to our gift shop, at least at headquarters, almost every time you come in there, you'll see a bottle that it might not say we might not have a list on it or a sign on it saying we're donating to charity, but there's usually one in there where it's we're taking proceeds and donating it.
Nice.
And do you know what this? I've never heard of this charity. Do you know what they do?
No, so this one, the Playbook it's called the Play Call Charity, which was kind of one of our things we did prior to NBC. So this was kind of more in celebration of that we do so much for charity of it. That was it. Yeah. So this was because there's another play. Yeah, that was kind of we call it the Playbook of some of the things that we did when we launched the company. And before we did, we were doing stuff for charity. So
got you. So you guys put these labels on then, right?
We did.
Those labels. Okay. I was like, I
Yeah,
assume it's not a group. I was like,
no, so this is actually a TTB. So we actually this hit there's a cola for this. You know, one thing that you know, the whole playbook series, and I'll have to be somewhat careful how I say this, was kind of in celebration. And if you read the back of it, it really kind of tells the story
yeah,
of why we did the playbook. When we started NBC, we had a lot of good success, and we had a lot of friends that kind of asked, you know, how they could do it. And if people came to us, we were very, there's other brands out there that you probably have bottles on your shelf that we kind of, you know, I would say coached, but we kind of really, you know, told them some of the mistakes we made and kind of told them, helped them out like we got help. And there's other ones that kind of, just that kind of really copied, but didn't really add much to it. So that whole label was kind of more of a celebration of just, we felt like we took something that's already been done. You know, we've done nothing special on being a bottler, but one thing we've done, if you come to our tasting room stuff, is we really make our experiences about whiskey drinkers, right? I mean, I wish Andy, I wish you would have came to our headquarters as well, so you could have seen it. But one thing we really have prided ourselves on is making it inclusive to everyone, and all novices to experts, and really having a place where people could come and just talk whiskey. There's really not many, distilleries or even whiskey bars that, a lot of times if you go to a whiskey bar distillery that focuses on nothing but high end or high proof whiskey, it's a bunch of pretentious people, right? Or you feel like you walk in and you don't feel welcome. And that's not us at all. As Andy said, there was a guy that looked like Dr. Drew, but I'm sure he was. I mean, Mark's a really nice guy, and it's people. It doesn't matter if you've never had a glass of whiskey in your life or if you've got the biggest collection. We're gonna smile and talk to you, and we're gonna chat about the journey that we're both on. So I think that one thing we've really tried to do is welcome people to the bourbon community.
yeah, I love that, Mike. And honestly, that's why I'm into whiskey and not wine, because I feel like it's way less pretentious and a lot more people who just like to have a drink and a good time, and that's what I'm about. So
Whiskey definitely is kind of like an equalizer. I mean, it's something in common that it doesn't matter if you're an NFL player, a garbage man, or a nurse. You have a common ground that everyone's kind of can talk about, and everyone's kind of equal.
yeah, for sure.
So 4 seems pretty similar to, I think, to the last couple, I think, right?
Yes.
4 feels like it maintains complexity, but it doesn't drink at the free. I don't know if that makes sense, but it feels like it's not as, maybe it's because we're 4 samples in, but
Yes. It's definitely because you're 4 samples in and you're using ABV now.
Nah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe a little bit, but
go back to number 1.
I did, and it still feels like it's got a lot of complexity to it. And I mean, gosh, even on the nose, when I first opened it up, I was like, "This stuff is incredible." So I wish it was more readily available because it's fantastic.
I will say, going back to number 1, I can definitely taste the corn on number 1 more than on the last 3, which is interesting.
I actually feel like this one has a much bigger cherry note than the last 2 did, to me, and like a more cherry tannic. This one is, because this one's 8 years too. So number 2 was 8 years. The one before this was 7, but so not a huge difference there. But I think I like 2 and 3 more.
I was going to say I don't have number 2 or 3 in front of me, but I bet you that it probably drinks a little more oaky than this one. This one's a little more sweet.
Mm.
Yeah, 2 definitely more tannic.
I'm sorry, I had to take a call. Are we on 4?
We're on 4 right now.
Okay.
Correct. And so you guys are our bourbon or National Bourbon Month, Heritage Month tasting. So these 4 were the bourbons in this group. I've noticed, I mean, obviously you guys are bottling from MGP, from other places in Kentucky. Have you bottled any bourbons outside of Indiana or Kentucky? Or I would assume you probably bottled something from Tennessee as well, but
So yeah, so we actually not in glass yet, but we definitely have. If you, it it will be probably on Coming Whiskey. I would imagine pretty soon because they like to leak every cool thing that anyone does. But I can tell you, there's definitely some stuff, some fun stuff in the works this year
Cool.
from outside of the three you mentioned.
All right. Sounds good. Excited for that.
I don't know if James is being very still or if if he is lost or if he's
He
frozen.
blinked. He blinked. I saw that.
James is very stoic. Anyone have any last comments about 4 before we move to the rye? Bueller. All right. I'll keep the recording going and we'll just get through the Canadian, then I'll stop it. But number 5 is a rye. This is a High Time Wine Cellars pick. They still have a few of these bottles left. This one is, I think, out the door, like right about $100 maybe. 7031. I believe, if I remember correctly, all of your ryes are 95.5s.
Every rye we've ever bottled, with the exception of the Canadian rye, it's all been 95.5.
Gotcha.
What's the 7031 referred to, Nando? Barrel?
7031 is the barrel number.
Barrel number, okay. It's not on the label.
And so actually my introduction to Nashville was through your small batch rye. I think maybe batch 2. I can't remember. You guys number those batches? It
could have been the duet.
Yeah, the duet. That's what it was.
Yeah, that was our second batch.
And so that was my introduction to Nashville Barrel Company, and then I started branching out into the other stuff you guys do. Tonight I'm going to taste the Canadian that you guys have bottled for the first time, so that'll be great. But go ahead, get this in your glass, and then we'll talk about it.
I like the nose.
And so this will be interesting for me because I'm not normally the biggest 95.5 fan. But let's see. I've heard good things about this one though.
It's pretty good. I guess it's got that dill pickle note, right? That you expect out of 95.5, but not too strong.
Yeah, we launched our brand with rye. Our youngest rye we have on site right now is 8 turning 9. And we've got some stuff that's turning 12.
Oh, wow.
95.5. October 10th actually is when it turns 12. Hey man. Hey, I know you want to play. I know.
Who's a good boy?
Yeah, he's my man. He's a rescue pit. He was a bait dog. He doesn't have any ears and he's scarred up, but he's the best dog. He's just a puppy. Yeah,
just put him in your lap. It's fine. We don't care.
Oh no, he sleeps right next to me in the bed.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's his name?
Goober. He's just a big goober is what he is. He's so goofy.
Love it. Yep, a pitty named Goober. That's the best.
My old pit bull used to sleep right next to me, like literally had to be cuddled like next to me.
Yep, they're needy little fuckers.
he was 100-pound pit bull. He was not small. Eventually, I just kicked him out of my bed. I'm like, dude, you cannot be in my bed. This is too much. You're too hot. I'm overheating. Get out of here. And
wait till he farts in bed.
I'm sure he did. But he used to sleep right next to me in the bed, and then at 6 a.m. he would get right in my face, and in my dreams, I could feel his like hot breath. And if that didn't wake me up, he would start licking me on the dot 6 a.m. every morning to go for our walk. Probably need that now to work out more, but
Andy, just get up in his face and start breathing on him.
Now I've got this little guy, so much different than I used to have.
I was about to say, is the boss around, Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call for her. She's she's not far behind. Hold on.
So what do you think of this one, Nando?
So this one isn't vegetal to me at all.
No.
Like a little bit on the back end, the back palate for me, but like this is very sweet up front, very drinkable.
But do you get the dill pickle note though a little?
If it's there, it's really light for me.
It's light compared to some, but I mean I still get it. I think Andy's nodding, right, Andy? Andy gets it. See, she has a better palate than you though. That's no surprise.
Women have better palates than men. That's just science.
Yep,
Science.
Yeah, James, you want to explain the 95.5? Andy doesn't know what 95.5 is.
Yeah. So it's 95% rye, 5 malted barley. And that's pretty much the big mash bill from MGP for their rye. And they do the malted barley. It's really not even for flavoring aspect. It's more for the enzymes and fermentation side of things.
Yeah. You want to talk about are you going 95.5 because of that well-known dill pickle kind of like rye note? Is that kind of what you're looking for with the rye?
I mean, they're not all that way. Like the run that we initially launched the brand with, that run turns 12 in February. It's more of a bourbon drinker's rye. You could blind some people on that, and they honestly could think it was a bourbon.
Okay.
Even though it is 95.5. And then the run that turns 12 in October, as soon as you nose it and taste it, it's a rye, right off the bat. And it's 95.5. So there's a lot of variation with the 95.5 that I found.
Who's that, Hinds?
This is the boss. She's at the distillery every day with us.
Ah.
Yeah, she's actually on the billboards around here. She's when people come in, when we first opened up, people would always come in and ask for James or myself because it was a bunch of our friends that wanted to come check us out.
Yeah.
Now people walk in like, is Stella here? Or we saw Stella on the website, or where's the dog at? They don't care about James or myself at all anymore.
Nope.
You're right, Andy. She is. There's a big. It's almost creepy how big of the photo is of her in the tasting room. But she is. She's a local celebrity. She's been on the news. She's been everywhere. James and I, we finally made it to Whiskey Advocate magazine, or one of those big ones, and it was the big centerfold, and it was her. They used a picture of her in our tasting room, and James and I had this super little small in the bottom corner photos. So we're riding her coattails.
Nice.
As you should. That's great.
Yeah.
So are you guys
Stella? Sorry, is it Stella and Goober met? They're like, wait, we need to meet.
Yeah, he's skittish around males that he doesn't know, because I believe who abused him was a male. So there's a lot going on, maybe down the road. But yeah, right now there's too much going on there, and too many males around. And boss, it's boss's territory.
Fair enough.
Well, we've rescued a couple of dogs, but not a pit bull. But they've never been socialized, so you've got a whole array of issues that ours is wonderful around us and that, but somebody else tries to come in the house, it's we got to create him. He just doesn't. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
See, my dog just will bark for about a minute, and then he just wants to sit in your lap and have you.
Mr. T, the best.
I had a boxer, and before Stella, and if anyone would even get close to the door, the boxer's out of bed, she's down there. I'm like, no one's getting within 10 feet of your yard, right? Without
Diggy, yeah.
But Stella, you know, if she thinks someone's outside, she won't get out of bed. She'll just bark to wake me up, so I have to go look.
You go. I'm the boss. I'm gonna rest.
Yeah, she will. She's like, you know, you go check it out. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah, at least I don't know about yours, but our Ziggy doesn't give up. We'll get a delivery and 20 minutes later, he's still trying to chase people off from the place.
Yeah, we always say our UPS driver is an asshole because, you know, he'll put a package down, then he'll knock on the door, and you know exactly what he's doing. I mean, the dog's for half an hour is on alert.
All right. Are we gonna do 75%er now?
We will, but let me ask one question. So with on your rise, so I mean, you guys are maybe, I would say, probably more well known for your bourbons and your rye. I mean, I just don't see a ton of rye expressions from you guys, and maybe I'm just not looking for it. Possibly, is that going to continue to be like a core thing you guys do, or are you moving away from rye, or kind of just going about it the same way?
Oh no, we'll always have rye.
Okay.
Yeah, always have rye.
The first year, all we had was rye. We launched with rye. I'm sure James said that. You know, people didn't know if we'd ever do bourbon. So we're definitely rye drinkers. And the reason why you probably see more bourbon expressions from us is, you know, more people drink bourbon. You know, some of the people that after, you know, I'd say you don't need more experience, but people do, you know, after you've been drinking bourbon for a while, you really start appreciating rye a little bit more, I believe.
Yeah, I drink more rye than I used to, for sure. Now that I know that there's not just 95.5, so, you know, I drink all over the rye spectrum now. But that's a really good rye, 95.5 rye. I can't say anything bad about that rye. That's really good.
So our agave, it's 100% Blue Weber agave distilled in Jalisco at a well-known nom. We get it directly from them and put it right in a fresh stump, either bourbon or rye or rum barrel. Right now, I've got some coming up on 3 years old, but I plan to do that, age it like whiskey, you know, 5, 8, 10 years, you know, by taste, but we're going to bottle along the way.
Do you guys have to put the nom number on? I would assume no.
We don't, because it's actually an agave spirit. It's not legally a tequila. So we don't have tequila. And another thing, I get it right off the still and put it into the barrel. So our agave is between 110 and 115 proof.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so it's not cut down at all. If you want water, you can put that shit in when you get home.
There we go.
Hey, man.
Speaking of water, 75%. Is a 33-year Canadian. I think
that's the color in the bottle, because the color in the mini looks a little different. Interesting. It looks a lot lighter than when it's all concentrated like that. I
don't know, but
notice on my camera. Look, it doesn't look yellow compared to your red.
It does, maybe a little bit. I also have a little different lighting than you have over there. So.
There.
You know, one thing too is that even in flasks or 100 mLs or Boston rounds, when it's a little not as concentrated volume, it also looks lighter too.
Yep. Interesting.
And that Canadian is a secondhand barrel as well. It's so
good.
Dude, this is good. This is really good.
The SRP on this one is one of the higher SRPs I think I've seen from you. I think it was like 220-ish.
199 to 219 is where those fluctuate, but I can tell you this, that if you look at others that have something similar, that's actually a really aggressive price. There's a couple other companies that have something that's not quite as old, and they charge more.
No, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying
we priced it, you know, since we're really known for our bourbon, we priced it to get people to try it, right? I mean, I think that's it. We want to kind of introduce people to that category.
So when I bought this, I accidentally bought two, so I have a second one.
I'll take it.
All right. Well,
you can add it to my other bottles from High Time.
All right.
What's OMWP stand for?
Oh, you got the OMWP one too. Wow.
Yeah, one man wolf pack. It's a group.
Sorry, what wolf pack?
One man wolf pack.
One man.
That's great. I didn't know that's what that stand stood for. That's hilarious.
That's a group, all right, or maybe not a group.
Yeah. It's I can tell you this though, you know, that group is actually is well known in the charity circles. I'm not sure if you guys knew about the old 4-star presidential single barrel pick that one man was one of the people that actually you know, did one of those picks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're yeah, that's that one man, that was one of the first single barrels, right, James?
Mhm. Yeah, the Canadians. Yeah, that was in the first 3.
I really like this one, just like the heat, but the flavor and the way it just kind of melts onto your palate once the alcohol wears off, and just how kind of like smooth and sweet it is, which for 75% is kind of like amazing.
Yeah, you know it's got some heat to it, but it does not drink.
It doesn't drink
Yeah.
like that.
Honestly, it doesn't drink as hot to me as the 60%ers that we had earlier, like 2, 3, 4.
I would say this, out of all the ones we drank, this one might be the most trouble whiskey because
Yes,
you can drink this a little too quickly.
yes.
Although I can already feel it warming my body from the inside.
Oh, yes.
That's a good wintertime pour right there.
Yep.
I believe you.
Is that not
I don't know.
is that not fun though?
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to, so I part of me was thinking maybe just do an all bourbon lineup, and then put the other stuff in as add-ons, but I thought it'd make a better lineup if we did one of the ryes and throw something else that you guys bottle. Canadian. This, I mean, I think is really good.
Gonna put a rum in there, dude. The rum's so good.
Well,
What's that, Andy?
next time. That's tasting number 2 we'll do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop the recording and then we'll kind of be in